time to be alive. Guys, the content is a never-ending train. So you guys better buckle up. And here we are on the War Chief Club Rising Empires number 28. This is the War Chief Club finals. I'm going to pause it for just a second just to eliminate some of that freezing. But spawning in the southeast, playing as the Abbasid Dynasty in the color orange, it is coRe. Spawning in the northwest, playing as the Rus, it is Numudan. And again, Neri, with Rus, we're not seeing a hunting cabin in the middle of a forest.
Yeah, interesting. I don't think Numudan knows about the strat, or if he does, he probably doesn't like it. Again, it's so niche. So I'm okay with that. Okay, so we're starting a prediction. Who wins game 1, Numudan or coRe?
Ooh, man. I don't know about this one. I mean, the matchup makes me want to pick Numudan, and Numudan actually going for a second scout out of the hunting cabin instead of the town center, so might actually end up with only 2. Now, I will call on you, Neri, probably as this game starts to get everybody gets their landmark to feudal age. I'm gonna ask you what Numudan's bounty is, but it looks like he's got 2 good deer patches that he'll be able to take from, and it looks like he did not find the other 2 of Numudan. So a normal Rus 2-2 split, and is really going to depend on some wolves and finding wolves to get to that crispy 250.
Yep, Numudan unlucky. It means the second deer pack of coRe, but he's okay. He's gonna end up getting a couple of extra wolves because of that. There's a few on the right side. Not gonna get that many cheap, but I think he'll be fine. Oh, we see Numudan actually starting with the chop through on the second forest. Or attempting to. Come on, you need to hook the villager before he hits 10 wood. Numudan! Oh, unfortunate.
Oh, jeez. As a Rus player myself, I don't do that build with the hunting cabins because I understand my APM is not as good. So it is a very difficult thing to go for. coRe gonna be able to click up to feudal age first and is actually going military wing first. Neri, what is your opinion on that?
I have never ever seen military wing win on feudal. Never.
Okay, so not looking great.
Not looking great. Not looking great for coRe, but coRe loves to make the weirdest builds possible that confuse you. He just does something that you've never seen before, and then he does something that you've never seen again, and for the third or fourth time, and then you're so confused that it works.
So let's see if, as this game goes into feudal age, let's see if Numudan can handle the mental gymnastics that coRe is going to throw at him. He is going with the Kremlin over here on the south side, going to preserve that wood line over there on the south as he's continuing to chop through. And for this villager, if we were playing Where's Waldo, this is a good one.
Now, something good to consider. Something important to consider. coRe has no food. He didn't find any sheep because he took a lot of time fighting the wolves, and I think he only went 1 scout. Yeah, he only went the 1 scout. He has no sheep. He has like 1 carcass left and 3 sheep alive, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, for a civ like Abbasid, there's one of the more forgivable civs to not getting as many sheep. But the thing about it's not necessarily you getting sheep, it's making sure your opponent doesn't. And with Rus having a lot of sheep, having the ability to make sure that they don't have to venture out to those outside Gaia food resources that are a little bit more difficult to actually obtain in the time it takes to do so. Now, coRe with that military wing, we see 2 spearmen and 2 archers pop right out of thin air. Let's see if he can make something actually happen with these things.
He's going to deny 25 bounty. Amazing. Huge value. Huge value.
I mean, pretty good. That's pretty good. That's minus 25 gold for Numudan. So
this is what I'm expecting to happen. coRe is gonna walk up, see the Kremlin. He's gonna go to try on the side. Then Numudan is going to spawn 4 militia, and he's gonna clap coRe's army.
And you know what? He just might. Want to do a quick shout out to Neutral Hub for the raid. Appreciate it, guys. I know Neutral Hub does some casting for Rising Empires League, so if you don't follow them, you should probably follow them also if you want to catch Rising Empires League activity, our 2v2 league that's going on now. Archers from coRe gonna be able to disrupt some wood gathering from Numudan. It's gotta move that wood line just that little bit over to the north, and you know, it was a couple seconds of idle time. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Numudan gonna have an
Huge
archery
value,
range
dude.
of himself. Look at this. Look at this value. He's literally, these two archers. They're unstoppable. Somebody
Huge
on
value.
God's green earth stop them.
Oh my god, this is such a good choice, such a good feudal choice core. I'm absolutely convinced that military wing is absolute shit now. Thank you.
Neri, biggest troll NA as a color commentator. It's just fantastic. coRe did gather stone. It's got 373 stone. Did gather enough for a second town center. Added a decent amount on wood, about 17, and we'll be trying to get that second town center as quickly as possible. Numudan on the other side, up north, with 5 villagers on stone himself. So we'll be able to get that second town center as well. And if you're playing against the Abbasid Dynasty and you're not going for that quick feudal aggression, a second TC is almost imperative, if not impossible not to do.
I mean, he could have these 2 spearmen and 2 archers, or he could have a second TC already, like up and running.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think
those
one
are your...
I think one of those 2 is better than the other. Not...
Yeah, I mean, you know, I would probably prefer the second town center, of course, but Kremlin going to be able to snipe down one of those scouts. coRe going with some horsemen here, going to be trying to, I don't know, maybe get some raids going. The issue is with his Kremlin for Numudan, his line of sight. You got to remember, for Numudan, we just looked at coRe's line of sight, but for Numudan, they do have the castle watch technology, improving that radius by 3 tiles. So super important. He's going to be able to see a lot of things that coRe is going to end up doing. Does have a couple militia over here on the east side with 3 archers that are going to combat that military wing vanguard force that comes out. So Numudan should be a little bit safe in trying to get this town center going, but does have a couple horsemen trying to get some of these archers down. It looks like one archer does go down, a spearman does go down for coRe. But I think because of these horsemen, not exactly the biggest DPS unit that we've ever seen, the militia are going to end up taking care of them. Numudan with excellent micro, making sure that villager stays alive at 5 health. Second town center is going to be going up. So coRe does get his a little bit quicker. Economic count at 31 to 27. But with that second one and with the food income increase that the Rus get, maybe we'll see a little bit of an evening out in the economic side of things.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw down a controversial opinion. I think the militia are stronger than the military wing.
Okay, I knew you were gonna go on the military wing again. Dude, it's been like 3 minutes. Okay.
Oh, it's so bad, dude. It's like the worst. Like, I can see like every wing working on feudal. Okay, culture wing obviously is pretty good. Economy wing, sorry. Then culture wing. Okay, you can brush castle with that thing, so it has some value. You can get your eco upgrades fast, so you can make it work. You can see like the game plan around the culture wing. The trade wing is like you want to just do trade. Okay, trade is OP, so it's fine. But military, you get 2 spearmen and 2 archers. And you get boot camp. Boot camp, 15% HP in feudal is like 1 extra hit from an archer.
Yeah, if you do take the fight with boot camp having 15%, it kind of it would help you out. Having a couple stables pumping out horsemen would obviously be able to help you out as well, but in terms of actual like feudal aggression, it didn't seem so as much. coRe really went for that after going for military ring, and because of that, Numudan's going to be able to venture out a little bit farther on some of these Gaia food resources, and will be able to pull this pork over away from the boundaries of the map. The villagers are going to be able to get stabby with it as well, and a third town center from Numudan is going to be able to come up, so he will be able to take an economic advantage at this point once that thing gets built.
Yep, Core spots it, so he knows he needs to attack this very, very soon, because otherwise it's going to pay off really, really quickly. And he's going there with his horsemen, but there are already militia there. The militia have quite a bit of life left on them, enough to defend this town center. And there's a couple of archers. This is a lot of horsemen though. A few villagers will go down. Like quite a few villagers are going to go down.
Those militia lost their lives at just the wrong time in that stealth force. They could have did very well against those horsemen having that extra damage, but not going to be able to do so. Villagers going down. Will the TC go up? That is affirmative, but at the cost of what? We have 6, 7 worker kills right in that area, and these horsemen really worth their weight at that point. Economic count 47 to 36. It means that coRe is going to have that economic advantage for just a little bit more time. And don't look now, that House of Wisdom starting to grow a little bit. We're going to see the culture wing come out. coRe with a 2TC fast castle build instead of that large economic wing feudal build from coRe. So let's see in Castle Age if he's able to translate in that with the stable, adding some lancers and the archer range, maybe some veteran archers, something like that. It'll help him out. That'll really take it to Numudan in Castle Age, while he is nowhere near it at this time.
Yep. There's a round coming in, and Numudan really doesn't have the military for it. I think that this 30C might have been his demise.
Yeah,
He was a little bit too greedy on the placement.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little greedy trying to get that boar, and just because it was scouted as quickly as it was. Now, this ram essentially unguarded, going to be able to take its pot shots at this town center, and horsemen are going to try to help it out, maybe protect it. In this town center, just because there's 5 villagers in it, it will end up going down, and Numudan's going to focus on this, pulling his army over here. The only thing he really has is archers, doesn't have much in the way of military count. It's 19 to 17, but in 10 seconds, the quality of coRe's units is going to go up by a significant margin. You remember in military wing, as we get to the Castle Age, composite bows are going to come out, going to make sure those archers fire just that much faster. And now that we see a Castle Age Numudan, he's got to be thinking, oh shit.
Yeah, absolutely. That this 30C killed him. That's about it. So, yeah, he's got an age behind. He has no resources because he spent so much on that 1TC that he basically got no value from. Yeah, this is a terrible position. He's trying to raid on the other side with a couple of knights. One of them went down. He's getting a couple of villagers killed, but it's not going to be enough. He's already lost 14 himself. So unless he just suddenly, of course, disconnects his brain and loses like 30 more villagers, he's in a very, very bad spot.
Yeah, I'd hate to have a brain disconnect in form of like a TIA or something, but horsemen trying to get that flank around from coRe all the way on the south side. Did take down a couple archers, but a lot of coRe's feudal age mass over here does get cleaned up by the Rus army. Military count 20 to 5. However, those 5 are in the way of Abbasid Castle Age Lancers. So we'll see if there's an area that he can really pick apart in terms of raiding. And I think this front hunting cabin area might be a good idea for him to take. Numudan trying to get walls over here on the south side and extend them out west. They are not going to be in time for this little raiding party from coRe, as these Abbasid Knights are going to start to matriculate west. While in the meantime, coRe does have a monastery up, a mosque, excuse me, and will be producing imams to get those relics, where he has essentially full map control at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Numudan is in a world of hurt right now. He really needs to try to get enough resources to age up to castle, and all his food right now are these tiers way, way on the front, and then he just needs to move all the way back to the berries, and that's not a great position to be in. All the lancers running into the militia, that's pretty good for Numudan, but those militia are going to expire eventually, and then it's just going to be lancers versus feudal knight, and that's not great.
No, it is not. There are better things in this game, and I think you hit the nail right on the head for Numudan in terms of this deer that he's pretty much getting, which is pretty much the only safe food source that he has. This is such a difficult time for Roos because a lot of these Gaia food resources, your sheep, are running out. They're about to run out right now. He has a couple carcasses down here, which are going to be over. And then he has some berries, which a Roos player never likes eating fruit. They're more of a meat carnivorous kind of civilization, so once they go to berries it makes it very difficult, and then their farm transition becomes difficult because they want to spend their resources on units in Castle Age, so it's kind of a catch-22. Numudan is going to get up to Castle Age rather quickly, Abbey of the Trinity with 15 villagers on it, so it will go up in due time. However, begs the question, Neri, is it a little too late?
It's still not too late, so he still has some time on his side, and the saving grace is he has a bigger military. It's lower quality, but once it gets upgraded, it's going to be fine against what coRe has at the moment. But coRe is so incredibly rich; he has so many resources.
Yeah.
And the villager league is not getting any closer because Numudan is not able to raid. He's forced to stay on his side of the map.
Yeah, it's very interesting because Abbasid doesn't have walls in this particular area, so there are raiding opportunities, but it's just because of these Lancers getting first dibs of the battlefield before the Roos Knights get upgraded or before these Spearmen become Castle Age or anything like that. It gives them the ability to get that map control just for that little bit of time to make sure he does get the relics. And I want to point your attention to the House of Wisdom specifically because he is on level 2 of the Golden Age, increasing that gathering rate by 15%, and the research speeds are a little bit higher, and he does have preservation of knowledge as well. Imam trying to get that relic over there on the north side. Those knights from Numudan have something to say about it. A little out pocket of Abbasid berry collectors actually end up going down. It looks like 1 or 2 end up going down in the process, but economic count for coRe 77 to 66. It's not going to get any better for Numudan for the duration of this battle, because for the Roos, the only thing they have that food gathering buff, which is great. Food gathering at about 10% right now. coRe has 15% on everything.
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what you can do with Numudan right now because you're behind on relics and you went Abbey of the Trinity when you knew you were gonna be behind on relics. So that's a questionable decision, but it's there. It happened. So he needs to get the most out of it. He's going to end up grabbing one relic. Nope, never mind. He decides to go for the other relic. Oh, but wait, where's the war going? Oh yeah, it's going for that relic under the outpost. That's very optimistic, but I think he can manage to get it. No, never mind. There's going to be the Imam that's going to get to it first. So, what do you do as Numudan right now? You're behind on villagers, and you're behind in economy, and you are behind in military. You need a miracle right now. You need a miracle engagement. You need for coRe to run all his Lancers into your Spearmen and to not pay attention to his Mangonel.
Yeah, a lot of these times, I mean, that might be just my only Conqueror 1 brain talking, but a lot of the times when I feel like I'm behind in so many different factors, you need that consequential fight to pull you in back into the game where at least you're in an even marking. And for Numudan, I think the way he's going, I can appreciate. He did add a siege workshop. Let me find it on the screen. There you go. And pumping out a couple mangonels. If he gets good mangonel shots, if he has consequential battles that really turn the tide, it's really the only way to get him back into this game. His third TC, well, fourth I should say, but his third that's actually living, is going to be here on the western side right next to this stone, which is going to help stop the bleeding a little bit because of coRe adding his third town center, but it's not necessarily going to provide him that benefit that he so desperately needs, especially with coRe. I mean, we're going to look at the total amount of resources of this game, and we're going to see coRe with the shocking display of economic prowess that the Abbasid has now that we've hit that their builds have kind of ended. Looks like Numudan looking like he wants to take this fight. He sees just Lancers. He doesn't see this range mass behind. He doesn't see the Mangonel hurling death at him. Numudan's Mangonel nice and safe behind some of these palisades. Numudan now knows that he's outnumbered. He's backing the hell up. He's adding 3 Springolds. coRe is all the way in the back to try to stop those Mangonels from happening, because it really is. It's a comeback mechanism. If he's able to stop those Mangonels from getting a shot in, he could take these fights rather convincingly, and the Springolds are going to help him do that.
Yep, absolutely. Like coRe is in a commanding position right now. He's even dropping a forward keep like in the very shortly. I don't know what the villagers are, but the blueprint is there. And after that, Numudan doesn't have the siege superiority, and the keep is gonna make sure he never does, because after that keep goes down, he will need to either produce a lot of rams or trebuchet to deal with it. Yeah, and coRe already has the sprinkles to deal with that. He has 3 sprinkles on the battlefield. Yeah, 3 sprinkles.
Yep.
Here comes the keep, starting to come up. And Numudan only has 2 sprinkles. So, and let me tell you, 3 sprinkles is better than 2 sprinkles.
Yep, 3. The math checks out on that one. Mangonel's trying to get a cheeky shot on those Abbasid villagers. Not going to be able to get it. Looks like Springold's going to be able to shoot through that palisade wall. Once Springold does go down, the Mangonel ends up staying safe. This fortified palisade wall, even though it does have a little bit of extra health, it will go down just about as quickly as I can finish this sentence, just because of those rams helping him out. Trying not to fight under the keep, Numudan is, but does have to back up a little bit because of that. And I really feel like, Neri, I really feel like if he takes this fight, it's game over.
Yeah, it's absolutely game over. If he goes head-to-head against this, there's 3 sprinkles, there's not enough, there's a lot, there's a Mangonel behind, there's these rams are just like in there absorbing shots from the archers. We even see some villagers like just chilling there. It's like, yeah, you can hit me. It's okay, everything's fine. Now they go to build that keep. But yeah, Numudan is slowly losing ground, and I don't see him coming back from this. He needs a heal from Harvey.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing... Oh, big Mangonel shots. There's a little bit of comeback. 12 archers going down for coRe, maybe a little bit more. This range mass, though, just because of the veteran archers being able to take shots a little bit more quickly than these crossbows, and a lot quickly than those archers, going to be able to just delay just a little bit. It wasn't necessarily about winning the battle, as we see. It was about getting that keep up. And now that coRe has that second keep up here, look at it raining all of those arrows down on the ranged mass of this area. Now Numudan, mostly his army comprised of just about all siege, adding in some knights as well. Hopefully he gets that knight upgrade soon. It's not early in this game. The sun is starting to set.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely he needs a lot to go his way still. Villager count is only still 22 behind. coRe threw away a lot of villagers trying to build those keeps, but so there was a lot of idle time and whatnot. So Numudan is slowly starting to catch up in economy, but still Abbasid with Golden Age Tier 2, soon to be Tier 3, so it's still a losing battle in that regard. But at least he is alive for the moment, working on that keep slowly but surely. coRe really needs to capture that third sacred site and throw keeps around those 3, and he can start putting even more pressure onto Numudan. Okay, coRe hitting the economic wing for Imperial.
Hits the economic wing, then the trade
Okay.
wing. Honestly, coRe, I don't give a shit. Just pick one. You're probably going to end up winning this game anyway. Goes with economic wing anyway. And remember, just because it's feudal, let's think about this for your non-Abbasid brains. If you kick the culture wing and get preservation of knowledge, that economic wing, that Imperial Age, has a decent discount. It's almost like Palace of Swabia discount, essentially, as the HRE is. But coRe looking for areas to raid over here on the north side, trying to take down one of these palisade walls, is going to let this keep go down in the middle. And just like you said, Neri, very accurately predicting, Imam's going to be able to take this north sacred site. And now it becomes coRe got his economic advantage and has continued to, with the amount of economic units he has, maybe might be bordering into a little too much at some point, but trying to get that the sacred site, and then it becomes a game of map control none of which that Numudan actually wants to do right now.
Yep. Map control and Numudan, he's... Sorry, excuse me a second.
No problem. Golden Age Tier 3 for coRe has been completed. What does that do? Gathering rate 20%, research speed 20%, production speed 20%. Once he gets economic wing, what are some technologies that become available to him? Agriculture is important. Improved processing, dropping off more resources is important, but now we have a little bit of a horseman. I want to say raid, kind of quote unquote, but right into the belly of the beast of Numudan, trying to take down some siege. Numudan does have the ability to go up with this keep. These rams will end up going down to those springles, so it does get a little bit of damage on the keep, but that's pretty much it. Roos does have a counterweight trebuchet trying to take down this forward keep of coRe, looking at about 1700 health, excuse me. And it will go down if those springles don't have much to say about it. But now, Numudan, 118 villagers to 150, finally has the ability to get up with the high armory. Remember, cost of siege engines decreased by 20%. It does have a little bit of those siege technologies that we all know and love, and as soon as the high armory gets completed, I will show you my favorite, and probably everyone else's favorite too, is wandering towns with rams. And I hope now that Numudan, even though Numudan is on the back end of this game and he is trying to establish some kind of foothold on this map, maybe we do see a wandering town. Ram damage increased by 50%, and they heal 2 health every 1 second. We have wood that regenerates in the medieval era. I wish we harnessed some of that power in order to get some regenerative processes, but coRe being able to repair this keep, and one of the most important things for the Abbasid dynasty as we hit Imperial Age and the high armory comes in for Numudan, is the fact that Abbasid has these culverins. I know we talk about anti-siege a lot, as a lot of horsemen go down for coRe trying to get a raid going. We talk about anti-siege a lot, but one of the reasons why you will win a late game encounter is if you have the anti-siege. The anti-siege is going to help take down a lot of these mangonels, a lot of those units that can get absolutely decimated, and that comeback mechanic for Numudan becomes null and void.
Absolutely. Now, something that Numudan really has going for him is he has a lot less players, which you might think is not good. It's not a good in this situation, but it's actually really good because his army is considerably bigger and stronger than coRe's army right now. coRe's army is like almost pure trash. It's like basically just archers and a couple of siege. So everything that Numudan has is just hard counters, whatever coRe's horse has right now. And with the extra half range from the high armory, the Springles actually perform quite decently against culverins. Usually culver is just absolutely crap on Springles, but with that extra range, they actually trade quite decently against one another. It's just as culverin is more population efficient.
And that was the first technology that Numudan got out of the high armory, making sure he has that extra half tile. And look at those springles with that technology. They're shooting these rams in a different area code, and a lot of these rams are going to end up going down before this keep even takes a shot from them. It has some mangonels here as well. I like what Numudan's doing in this Imperial Roost gameplay. I mean, it really is siege heavy, and it's really going to help him out. My question to you, Neri, now that coRe's got about 8,000 food in the bank and probably has, if we're looking at here, and I'm not going to count, I'm just going to say it's a metric shit ton of farms. How do you feel about his economic count at 150? Do you think it's too high?
I think it's fine. Honestly, I love having more than 120. I usually try to push the 150, but I'm not quite there yet. But the problem with that is you need a lot of production. coRe does have quite a lot of production, but I don't think it's forward enough for it to be useful. Because when you have this many villagers, you need like your production basically touching the battlefield, because you need that everything to be replaced almost instantly and to be on the fight immediately, because otherwise all that economy is really not useful, because your army is spending a lot of time just traveling back into the heat of the battle. Now we see both siege, both keeps, sorry, are starting to slowly being worked on. Numudan's keep is going to fall off first just because it got because Numudan's trebuchet got sniped by the culpering. But if Numudan just commits another trebuchet, he should be able to take down that keep. He really needs to get rid of those two culverins. The Springles are kind of moving forward to deal with them, but coRe pulls his culverins back, and this is just a game between who can snipe the anti-siege first and more effectively.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Neri. Having these culverins, and look at oh, they tried to get a little sneaky kiss. The Springolds had something to say about it. A lot of Springold bolts are going to go in there really quickly. Let's just check the range on these guys, because that is the most important thing. We talked about the roost technology. Springold range, 12.5. Culverin range, 12. That is huge. Just getting that, although, you know, we talked about, Neri, you talked about the culverins being more population efficient, and of course they are. But having that extra half tile of range, making sure that your Springolds fire before that culverin does, it's massive. Look at that. See ya. Yep. Look at all that firewood that those Springolds just made, and they're even making more with those counterweight trebuchets as well.
Yep. Whenever you're fighting against Bruce Springle with culverin, you need to commit. Like, you go to hit the Springles and you need to commit because you one-shot Springles, but the Springles need to three-shot you. So you just need to go in and on fire. Now we see the engagement going on. coRe making two gigantic mistakes. One, he only has veteran archers, and two, he doesn't have composite bow. So his army got absolutely demolished. But here comes the reinforcement in the forms of camel riders. And Numudan doesn't quite have an army to deal with. He has quite a bit of spearmen and a lot of Strozzi, but camel riders are quite heavy vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to call that battle. I don't even know if I want to call it a battle. I want to call it a stoning, because all of those archers end up going down. Remember, those camel archers, they do have a lot of health, but they do get the extra damage taken by things like mangonels. Look at all of the mangonels by Numudan. He's putting a keep behind, trying to bolster his defenses, and making sure these mangonels are staying alive. He did win the first part of this battle rather convincingly. It's not about winning the battle, however. It's about winning the war, and there's one thing that coRe is doing a little bit better than Numudan right now, and it's adding reinforcements. I think more units from coRe ended up going down, but it's more about how well you're able to produce them back into this little choke point. This is quite the hellish choke point coming out for both of these players. Now Numudan finally starting to get his reinforcement and adding some more population efficient units, having Streltsy playing the role of essentially poachers, taking down these camel riders and these camel archers. That's a lot of humpback corpses back here, Neri.
Yep. coRe has way too many units into production. He just depleted his entire bank in like the span of like a minute. That's insane. He produced a lot of camel riders and a lot of horsemen, and they're both very, very foot heavy, which is fine. And obviously when you have this many farms, but still, that's a lot to deal with. We see still some camel archers. Yeah, camel archers trying to cause a little bit of trouble, but those hormers should be able to deal with them pretty easily. Now, Numudan really needs to get rid of this keep. Once he gets rid of this keep, he will have a much better position to fight into coRe. He does have a bombard, so just like 2 taps, yeah, like 2 bombard taps, and the thing should die. Maybe 3.
I think for right now, though, it's the ability for coRe to continually mass. I think that's the biggest part for him. Numudan is really struggling in that gold department. He has 1 small gold vein. Over here, we see 1 camel archer going down rather frivolously, and 1 gold vein over here to the north. So what's Numudan doing? He's pulling out the donkey boys, trying to get some of this trade going. I don't know if it's going to pay off in time for him, because there are a lot of elite horsemen, elite camel riders with 384 health. They're like walking houses, trying to take down a lot of these villagers, some gold villagers trying to get raided on. And look at the speed of those horsemen those camel riders, they see the battle, they see what was going on. There were some spearmen, there were some Streltsy. They were like, yeah, I don't give a shit about this. And then they just moved all the way up to the north, trying to raid some of the gold villagers. He sees the markets, trying to get rid of some of this trade, making sure the trade doesn't develop into something scary.
Yep. But still, customers, you don't need that many traders because you have passive gold generation. Although Numudan has been really slacking on placing hunting cabins, he should have a lot more. He should be maxing out on that goal. But he's doing fine for the time being. Now we see a lot of raiders, just a lot of camel riders and horsemen just getting idle time on the farms, which is pretty very bad. Numudan really needs to add a secondary wall onto this top side to protect his markets and his trade out on the few villagers he still has mining. So yeah, now Numudan is being picked apart by coRe just attacking everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, that's huge for Numudan. I mean, we obviously know his APM is very good. Both of these players' APM is very good, but getting raided in multiple places at once becomes quite the issue. And we can see just based on how many worker kills have been going throughout the match, it's 77, 79 to 26 in favor of coRe. This economic count, excuse me, from Numudan is not going to be enough to have an endgame economy, especially a siege-heavy economy, which is quite expensive.
Yep. This, at least Numudan is still holding the front line. He's finally getting rid of that keep. He just needs, it's slowly burning down, so unless gold repairs it, it is going to be destroyed very, very shortly. Still, the camel riders on this one is still causing trouble on the backside. Here comes the main engagement on the front. A lot of camel archers and horsemen is engaging with the culverins. The culverins are going to snipe out the siege, and they slowly retreat once more Springles show up.
One good culverin's popping. Some of those mangonels, half the mangonels end up going down. It looks like this Streltsy army trying to commit to their static deployment, getting that attack speed, just standing still, making sure they're able to take down a lot of them. Numudan actually calls it, even though he was doing well on the front side, it was all of the raids that were going on the back side of his base. We had some markets going down as well. Let's take a look at the timeline really quick, because I think this was a time that I'm not sure if people actually, I didn't see in chat that there were a lot of GGs getting called. So hopefully if people weren't really expecting that to happen, because Numudan was really staying front on that choke point, making sure that choke point was completely in the Muscovites' control. It was more so about what was going on behind it. Take a look at economy count, villager count that I'm seeing here. Look at all of these dead villagers all the way down at the bottom. Numudan was never able to catch up. The economic count always lower. Military count actually goes more so in the favor of Numudan than coRe, and I actually agree with Benny B in chat saying Numudan would have died in the next 5 minutes anyway. Definitely, just because, I mean, he didn't have the late game economy to keep up with something like the Abbasids, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunate. I really think that Numudan died when he placed down that 30C. That 30C was so ambitious, and it got punished so quickly by coRe. If that didn't happen, I think he would have been in the commanding position.